Well, Luke, thank you so much for sitting down with the Pinnacle of Columbus. We're excited. We know that you're very busy, but we definitely appreciate today you being able to sit down with us and excited to talk about your journey, who you are. You've done many things, here in the city of Columbus and abroad, and we just want to kind of have that conversation.
Yeah, AC, thank you so much for having me. Look forward to the conversation.
Yes. So know that you kind of do a lot, looking at your bio. People can read those pieces, but want to kind of start with asking you, who is Luke Fedlam?
Wow. Luke Fedlam is a protector of possibilities. I share that almost like a superhero badge. I feel like that really defines who I am. I want to protect the possibilities of others. It's something that I think maybe in the last 5-10 years, I've really been able to put words to the feelings that I've kind of had throughout my whole life. And I share that because it's easy for people to define themselves by their role, by their job, their position, title. But we're so much more than whatever that title is. Absolutely. So for me, protect your possibilities really encapsulates kind of who I am, the work that I do, the life that I live. So if we're talking professionally, protect your possibilities, I want to protect every possibility that my clients have to make a positive impact on themselves, their families, their communities. I think about my family, 2 kids, wife. I want to protect them and all the possibilities that they have to go do great things and to exceed the things that I'm doing in life. But then also being engaged in the community. And you think about the more you do in the community, the more you get asked to do. And I think that a good litmus test for me as to my engagement, my desire to be involved is this going to help protect possibilities of others? And so whether it's, volunteering, being on a board, just serving, it's all about, for me, protecting somebody else. And I think that just goes back to, me in terms of who I am and wanting to kind of always wanted that feeling of, growing up of being protected. And so now to be able to actually give that out to the world, that's who I am.
That's good. And initially, that's what I was thinking, kind of where did that come from and what thrives that? What fuels that for you?
Yeah, I was adopted as a kid. I was in foster care for a little bit. I was adopted. And a lot of people have the same story that life isn't always easy. And I think for me, what has really fueled this desire to want to do it all, to have it all, to make a positive impact in this world around me is just knowing that, like, I'm here. Like, we're here. We're sitting here right now. We're having this conversation. There are a lot of our contemporaries that aren't here. And the fact that we're here, I feel like we have an obligation to just make life better for somebody else. That fires me up, fuels me every day. That's
good. I can hear the passion in that, which is really good. And I'm sure it's very impactful to other people. I want to take a step back real quick. You talked a little bit, even if I was growing up and in foster care. You're from New York, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So
okay, AC, doing your research. Okay.
So talk to me about what was childhood like growing up, and then what brought you to Columbus?
Sure. Growing up was interesting. I was actually born in Iowa, and I was in foster care in Iowa, was adopted, spent a little bit of time in Nebraska, and then really did my kind of upbringing in upstate New York, about 2 hours from New York City. And for me, childhood was almost like my adult life is now. For those that know me, I go nonstop. And I've done that since I was a kid. It's not anything new to me. It's not like all of a sudden like, oh, life is busy. So, wow, I've got so much going on. I, even as a child, would just fill my time with activities or work or what have you. So growing up, it was work. I always kind of had a part-time job. It initially, before it was, off the books, shoveling snow, raking leaves, doing what I could do. To then, school, sports, played 3 sports. I would work part-time, would be in honor society, student government. So it was just being all in. I have like an internal engine that just doesn't stop. I just want to keep going and keep doing. And I think there are a lot of reasons why I think that exists. But growing up, for me, that was it. Stay busy and keep going.
That's good. Okay. So coming to Columbus, how did you get here?
So my wife. So I was living in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania after college. I went to Wake Forest University for undergrad, and I moved to Philly to work at an investment firm. And I ended up meeting my wife just kind of somewhat by happenstance. She was getting her MBA and went to Philadelphia for a conference, and she was getting her MBA with one of my friends. And so we ended up kind of making that connection. And then I actually shortly thereafter moved to Miami, Florida. And a year or so later, after she finished her MBA, she came here to Columbus to work at Abercrombie & Fitch. And so when we ultimately got engaged and then married, Columbus was kind of the right place. And so came to Columbus, and the rest is history, as they say.
That's good. That's good. So in talking about your passion, how did you end up in the field of law?
How did I end up in the field of law? It's a series of, I think, interesting maybe reflections. When I was a kid, I have no lawyers in my family, so there was no firsthand firsthand knowledge. My kind of only exposure to the legal field directly when I was a kid was one of the places that I shoveled snow for was a law firm that was a few blocks from where I lived. And they would pay me $5 every time I shoveled. So on those days when we didn't have school, you better believe like every hour or so, I was like, I think a little more snow fell. Let me just, shovel this real quick. So that was kind of my exposure. And then television, there was a show at the time called LA Law.
Yes,
you remember that?
I do.
So I was like, okay, this, I don't really necessarily understand the substance of it, but I saw that there was an opportunity to make an impact and an opportunity to do well for yourself. And I said, I think I want that. Fast forward a little bit, as I was thinking about what do you want to be when you grow up? When I was a kid, I always wanted to be the president of the United States.
Okay.
And I share that with people because as I thought about it, what really kind of clicked for me was Jesse Jackson ran for president back in 1988. And I, cut out all these pictures and I was like, oh my gosh, a black person could be president, right? Because then it was, obviously until 2008, that was not a thing. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, let me research and see, what are the professional backgrounds of presidents and things, and saw that so many were lawyers. And so this all kind of came together to say, you know what, I think I want to be a lawyer. Didn't know exactly what type of law or what exactly I wanted to do. But fast forward, I ended up working for a while and kind of had this, inflection point where I said, if I'm ever going to go to law school, I need to go. And so ended up going to Ohio State for law school and have been able to really live out the joy of kind of a childhood dream in the work that I get to do.
Yeah. Did you ever envision that you would be a nationally acclaimed NIL lawyer?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, to be honest with you, even when I was in college, I still didn't understand kind of the legal world. And I don't think anyone ever sets out to be an expert in something. Even just, 5-6 years ago when I started engaging in trying to educate athletes, administrators, the ecosystem, the college sports ecosystem around name, image, and likeness. I didn't set out to do it to be a national expert. I set out to do it because I saw a need. I'd worked with professional athletes since 2006, initially on the financial side and then on the legal side, and said, if we're going to get into this new era where college student athletes can sign endorsement deals, I had seen too many professional athletes get taken advantage of, not understand what they were getting into, wanting to get out of something they signed because they didn't know what they were agreeing to. I said, if we see this at the professional level, where professional athletes who have professional advisors are still falling into those situations, I can only imagine what will happen in the college space. And so this desire to get involved in NIL really came out of, seeing what was happening with pros and wanting to make sure that as best as possible, it didn't happen to college student athletes.
So can you share some of your experiences as you were kind of being acclimated into that world? What did it look like to interact or even come across, young people who just didn't know and becoming an advocate for them?
Well, it's interesting. You don't know what you don't know. And so very much like me and my upbringing, a lot of athletes have never thought of the fact that maybe I need my own lawyer. When I was a kid, the only thing I knew about lawyers was if you get in trouble, you get a lawyer. Right. That was it. And so part of my job, part of my journey in this has been helping athletes and their families to understand the importance of having their own lawyer. Let's think about this for a second, especially if we just talk about the college level. You've got the NCAA that has high-powered, top attorneys from across the country. If you look at conferences, they have their attorneys. If you look at individual schools, they have their attorneys. But yet it's the student athlete that is the product that makes this multi-billion-dollar ecosystem operate. Yeah. And they're the ones that are the least protected and the least educated on what's actually happening. So that's really been my mission. So how did I kind of start this? I started kicking down doors of trying to help anyone who would listen understand that athletes themselves need lawyers, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, let's make sure that we all are understanding the kind of educational framework of name, image, and likeness, what it is, how it impacts athletes, their families, and then sharing that message wherever I could. Mm-hmm. And I have to say this, one of the points in my career that I will always look back on is this COVID period, right? Mm-hmm. So 2020 was an interesting period of time where people were just starting to get comfortable then with Zoom. We were forced into it.
Right.
But because of that, and because of the fact that I was outspoken on educating athletes, educating others on what was these changes that were happening, now all of a sudden, I'm at home with the family, but I might do 5, 6, 7 different Zooms, different webinars, with a school on the West Coast, somewhere in the South, all over. And so for me, that period of time really allowed me to get my message out to so many people and to maximize that moment. And I remember having a call with some colleagues to say, this is something that's unprecedented. We've never been through a situation like this, but we have to maximize this moment.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So when you're talking to athletes, and again, you said you don't know what you don't know, what do you tell them and how to protect themselves in this part of their journey?
I think I start with not necessarily telling them what they need to do to protect themselves. I try to start by saying, what is it you want to do? What are you trying to achieve? And then listen to them. Same thing with their families. What we're talking about now there are athletes who are making 6 and 7 figures at the college level. Money that is life-changing for families. Yeah. But there has to be conversation around not just did you maximize the amount of money that you're making, but what is it that you want to do? How do you want this to work? How do you want this to operate? You tell me, and I'll help you understand how to be protected. I think oftentimes I've talked to people who, and I don't, let me not give you any fake modesty. I do consider myself an expert. I don't flaunt that I'm an expert in this space. I have experience in this space. But there are a lot of times where people who do well in their industry, in their space, want to just talk, and tell the world how they know all this stuff. What I try to do is understand first, listen, and understand what it is that a family is individually challenged by and address what they're looking to address. Now, because they don't know what they don't know, clearly there are things that we have to talk about. Clearly there are things that I'll be able to share with them about understanding contracts before you sign them, having a budget and a plan for how you want to handle money. Is the student athlete going to be funding the family's lifestyle and what the family needs? Let's have those honest conversations, right? But at the same time, it's got to start, in my opinion, from a place of really understanding what that family, what that student athlete, what they're looking for, what they're trying to achieve. And then let's build up a protective kind of hedge around them.
That's so good, because many times, especially in that arena, you probably run into people who are not genuine, that are still looking at, them as a product as opposed to as a person. And
absolutely.
So as you've been journeying, kind of share with us maybe, a time where you were really tested in this, and kind of what did you do?
Every day. No. Let's see. A time when I was really tested, I think one of the challenges that will always present itself is when athletes are told they don't need my services, that they don't need a lawyer. That fires me up for a whole host of reasons. This has happened multiple times. And if we think about it, there are agencies that are engaging and getting involved with families of athletes younger and younger and younger. And a lot of times those agencies will have their own in-house lawyers and things like that. Those in-house lawyers are there for the agency.
Right.
They're not there solely to protect the athlete.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. And so what challenges me and frustrates me is fighting that fight, fighting that battle, because I hate seeing athletes who, to be completely blunt, mostly look like you and I hate seeing them get taken advantage of. NIL presents an opportunity for athletes and their families to change generations. Genuinely. We're talking about, there are athletes and families, there are athletes out there making six figures as a freshman, I was looking for $6, let alone six figures when I was in college. So think about the impact that can have. But yet we have to make sure that the family, that the athletes are educated and protected to be able to navigate that, this new money, to navigate this space, so that they end up in a better place when they leave than when they started. And I'll just share this briefly. A mentor, one of a number of mentors of mine, Gene Smith, former athletic director at Ohio State. What I loved is when name, image, and likeness was about to become a reality, he said consistently, I want to make sure that student athletes at Ohio State leave Ohio State in a better position than when they start. And what we're seeing is that with people who are entering this NIL space for their own benefit, not for the benefit of the student athlete, people who are getting licensed to be an NIL agent or just claiming to be an NIL agent, since there's really no licensing for them at this point, athletes need an advocate. And that's what I want to do every day.
Okay, so Luke, make it real. What are we talking about when you're talking about that?
So there are real dollars when we're talking about name, image, and likeness. And there are people that, if you read the headlines, there are people making 6 and 7 figures. We read about that all the time. But there are a lot of athletes that are also making 10, 15, 20, 50, 70, $100,000. And so here's the challenge. What we see are athletes who they don't know, again, what they don't know. So they don't know necessarily how to negotiate to their benefit. They also don't know, what does the contract say that I'm being asked to sign? What impact does that have on me? And they have to battle unknowingly agents who are out there for their own benefit. So let's make it real, like you asked, right? So one of the things that I see is that now, since July 1st of 2025, because of this House versus NCAA settlement, schools are able to do NIL deals directly with student athletes, revenue share. So when they do that, schools already know what they're going to pay the student athlete. But what we're seeing are agents who come into play who say, you know what, AC, I want to represent your son or daughter. I'm going to make sure that they get this, this, and this. And they negotiate a deal with the school for money that the school is already going to pay that athlete. And so now we see some agents who want to try to take 20% of that, 10% of that, even 5%. If you really had nothing to do with it, why? Because it's for their benefit. And the other thing that we see that happens all the time are that student athletes, they'll pick a school that they're going to, but now because the transfer portal rule changes, they can transfer as many times as they would like. And so who benefits from those transfers? Oftentimes it's an agent of the athlete, not necessarily the athlete themselves. So what happens is the student athletes at the school, the agent behind their back, and I've dealt with this on numerous occasions, behind their back is shopping that student athlete to other schools for more money so that they can then say, oh, hey, I can get you a deal at X school. You're making $150,000 here. I can get you $300,000 at this other school. Now all of a sudden the student transfers because they think about, oh, well, I just want to make more money. The agent's now taking a bigger chunk of that. The agent doesn't care if that student athlete's making their progress towards their degree, if it's a better team dynamic, team situation for them. So these are some of the things that are very real and are happening every single day in this space. And oftentimes what frustrates me is that it's the athletes that get called greedy, or the athletes that get spoken ill about when we have coaches out here making $100 million. We have agents out here that are benefiting off of being predatory to these student athletes. And there are no national guidelines. There's no guardrails to protect this. And so we get in a situation where it's like, oh, people talk about, college sports. Oh, athletes just want money. That's it. Well, let's talk about the adults in the room that are around these athletes that are looking out for their own interest as opposed to the interest of the athlete. Yeah.
So what would be red flags? Like if you, especially as a parent, if you saw they approached us to talk to us about, we want to do this for my son. What are red flags that they should look for?
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple. I'm not going to give you all of them though, because I need people to call me to say,
you,
hey, we need your services.
That should be the first thing. Do you have Luke?
But I would say, some of the things to look at and look out for. Certainly, if someone wants you to sign a contract immediately, that's a red flag.
Okay.
If someone is pushing you to say, no, you got to do this now, or you're going to miss out on this opportunity, red flag. If you don't understand the fees and how the fees fit in to how much you're paying them and when and how you're paying that agent or that advisor that's coming into play, that's a red flag. Not understanding the services that person, if they're a service provider, accountant, financial person, business manager, agent, social media person, whatever, if you don't understand the services that they're providing, and you can't clearly articulate that you actually need those services, red flag. Yeah. So these are some things, even on the front end, I could go on for hours about the red flags that we see in contracts themselves. But certainly at the outset, making sure that you understand what are your needs. I just talked to a family today of an athlete that's, he's an early enrollee to a Power 5 school. And the family was saying, we think we should hire an agent. We went through this whole conversation. I'm like, do you need one? Does your son, is a football player, does your son want to do NIL outside of any revenue share money that they're getting? Well, no, they don't, because they want to just focus right now. Maybe after their first season, then maybe they do. Well, then what's the rush? Why? But oftentimes families want to rush because it's a great feeling to say, my son or daughter has an agent, like we're doing it. Well, what is it that you're doing? Let's just make sure that we're setting yourselves up for success and not getting into a situation that could be more challenging to get out of.
That's good. You can, in talking to you, really hear the genuineness of your heart, even for people. And so as you reflect this a little bit, and I'm sure that you've had a lot of proud moments, because I can tell it's been very impactful. But for you, maybe kind of share with us one or two of your proud moments in your career.
Oh, in my career? Listen, I'll say one incredibly proud moment for me was making the move to Amundsen Davis. Now, I had been at another law firm previously for a number of years. I was in-house counsel before that. But when I first, and I've known Larry James for a decade or so, but when we first talked about me coming here, the pride of someone like Larry James and him in particular to say, I want you to be a part of what we're building and what we're doing here. I want to invest in you, to feel like I've put in the work to even hear that. And then that someone is investing in me in a way that I want to continue to just make them proud. And for me, it's something that I'm incredibly proud of and thankful for. From a substantive kind of work perspective, one of the things that I always just try to take a second to just soak in, which I don't do too often. But when I do, it's when I have athletes that I've worked with while they were a pro athlete to then now when they're retired, and I get to, know their kids and see their families grow and things like that. To me, that's what gets me. You don't see that. That doesn't get posted on social media. Right. That's not in anybody's, promotional material. That's the moments when I see them, because of the protection that they got while they were playing, the decisions that they made, to be able to then continue to do the things that they want to do to help themselves, to help their families, to help their communities after they're done playing. That's what I'm looking for, because that's how we change generations. That's how we help, to be able to say, you are a pro athlete, that's great. And now this next chapter, and to continue to be a part of that, says, I must have done something right along the way. But at the same time, I know I'm making an impact in this world.
That's good. So then what advice would you give to a young person who desires to be a lawyer?
Work. Work hard.
Yes.
If you want to be a lawyer, you do. I mean, you have to work. And I think it is, nothing's going to be handed to you. Yeah. Nothing's going to be handed to you. So how are you going to differentiate yourself? What is it that you are going to focus on in a way that sets you apart? Yeah. What is it that you're going to do? And so I think that, so I do a lot of speaking engagements. One that I do every year is at Ohio State's law school. And they always have me come in and talk to the first year law students as part of their orientation. and I have a professionalism conversation. And one of the questions I ask is, how many people in here like lawyer jokes, right? Jokes about lawyers. And there's always people that raise their hand, maybe half the room, a third, what have you. And then I say, I hate lawyer jokes. And I share that because our profession, the legal profession, is a profession that granted voting rights for people, a profession that has developed companies that impact communities, that have fought for the rights of individuals, that have fought for freedoms for individuals. Our profession is a bedrock profession within our country that, yes, there are people that maybe can cause it to be challenging, but it is a respected profession. And so if you enter the legal profession with that kind of weight behind it, behind your decision, to me, that's where I think the work ethic and that kind of ethos of I am going to do what it takes to elevate this profession, I think that's where it comes from. But you got to be willing to work.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you want to go to law school now? Let's go.
I'll let you stay there. So it's evident that you do a lot of work. Share with us a typical day, if there is a typical day, in the life of Luke.
You want the real?
Real,
All
raw,
right.
real.
Okay, let's go. Let's get into it. So a typical day, first of all, let's just say this. There's no general typical day, but let me tell you kind of generally what happens. So either I'm traveling for work or not. And if I'm here, this is kind of a typical day. Wake up. The first thing I do when I wake up is I try to get a quick moment of grounding. Not trying to sound all deep, but I just try to take a quick moment. Oftentimes I feel like a song will be in my head.
Okay. What's the song? What song? Give us one
so
song.
You know what's interesting? It depends on what's going on in life.
Okay.
It could go from religious to ratchet, and it just depends on where we're at, right?
Right.
And so, but I will say, I try to take a quick moment, and then the first thing I do, I grab my phone and I'm looking at emails that have come in from clients. I look at news. I'm a big avid news reader of what's happening. If you think about the college sports landscape, just in general, everything is changing, and it's changing so rapidly. So I've got my curated bespoke news feed so that I can capture what I want from where I want to capture it, the headlines of the day. And then kind of once I do that and kind of deal with some work to begin with, I've been engaging a lot with people in the Middle East on some different things and trying to watch that hopefully kind of continue to come to fruition. And so I'm engaging in some things that are happening over there to understand and read and stay up to speed. But once I'm done with the kind of that portion, we've got, my wife and I have a little puppy. He's 2 years old now, but he's still my little puppy. And so we together, that's our time. We go out, take a walk. We have a walk around our neighborhood. It's just short of a mile. It gives us, 20 minutes or so for us to catch up on a day, who's got to go where, the logistics, all the things. So we'll walk the dog, we'll talk through everything, then come back in. Then it's a absolutely crazy 45 minutes to an hour of making sure everybody's dressed, making sure kids are eating breakfast, that the trombone doesn't get left, that track clothes are ready for practice, like all of those things to get them out the door. And then somebody's, my son is in high school, my daughter's in elementary school, and our dog goes to daycare a few days a week. So we got to make sure that those three people and individuals get to where they need to go on time.
You ain't even got to work yet, right?
We haven't got to work. It's been a day already.
All right.
And then I'm usually, if I'm dropping one of the kids off, I'm usually here then in the office by 9:00, which is actually later than I'd want it to be. But I have this finite window of time with my kids. Yeah. So that's what it's going to be. Yeah. And some of the best conversations that we have are on the way to school, just catching up and what's going on. Maybe we're rocking out to Kendrick, whatever it is, like we have that moment of time. Because on the back end, I never pick my kids up from school. It's just not a possibility. So get into the office. And so for me, my day, the actual business day in the office is a combination of a number of things. Talking to clients, reaching out, prospecting, talking to prospective new clients. It could be having meetings, going to luncheons, whatever is required for that business day, that happens. But then usually for me, my business day extends into the evening. So I would say probably 3, maybe 4, let's call it 3.5 nights a week. There's something else happening that evening. And so that something else could be a work dinner, a fundraiser, or an event. It could be something I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. It could be something related to Alpha. But there's usually then, something that's happening then in the evening. Like I said, usually at least 3 to 4 days a week, evenings a week. And then it's back home. And I try to get home if I can before the kids go to bed, get a little bit more time. And then I open the laptop. And so depending on how busy that day was kind of determines whether I really got the things done that I needed to get done or not. And so then it's laptop time, getting, again, billing hours, doing more things to get that day complete. And then try not to fall asleep on the computer. And then it's, back at it again. A lot of people will ask me, they'll say, and not even me, they'll ask my wife, does he really have this much energy? And she will say, from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to sleep. Now, what she doesn't tell him is I'll usually fall asleep, like on my way falling into the bed. Like I'll take the remote, like I'm going to turn the TV on, fall asleep with the remote in my hand before I even turn the TV on. So for me, it is a day that is full from beginning to end.
Wow. Now, you mentioned your family.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the importance of family to you.
It's everything. It's the cornerstone. And to be honest, it's why I do what I do. Yeah. It is. It's for my kids. It's for my wife. It's for giving opportunity. I mean, it's protecting possibility and opportunity. So. Again, 15-year-old son, 11-year-old daughter, and to see the light in them about all that this world has to offer, that they can go and achieve and do. That's why I do what you do. Wow.
So we've been doing a lot of conversation. Talk about what makes you laugh.
What makes me laugh? Just about everything. I can find humor in everything. I'm just a positive, fun-loving dude. I will laugh at myself. I will laugh at things. If you ask my kids, I'm that person. This is so bad. I'm that person that, if I'm scrolling through TikTok or see America's Funniest Home Videos and somebody slips on ice, I'm gonna bust out laughing. I feel bad. Don't judge me. We listen and we don't judge. But I like to laugh. I think if you can't have fun in life, come on.
That's good. So which child or which kid is the most like you?
Now that's a tough question. We in this hard hitting question time now. Okay, they are most like me. I can't answer that. Number one, because they're probably going to watch this, and that would be can't do that. But I can say this: they each have traits that I am proud of, and that sometimes I get surprised by, because it is like looking in a mirror sometimes. And I'll say this: being adopted, having kids was something that it was really meaningful and an important part of my life from when I was young. I always said I couldn't wait to have kids and my family and see that and look at them and all this. And so now it is. I look at my son and his sense of humor, his energy, his excitement, the way he can lighten up a room just by how he is. I love that. And I see that, in me. With my daughter, her competitive, strong competitive spirit, her desire for perfection, her organization, I see that. And so I see some really cool things in both of them that I think I played a role in.
That's good. So what would you say is your greatest desire for your kids?
To have the freedom to be able to do what they want to do.
That's good.
And whatever that is, to do what they want to do. Because I think, freedom isn't free. Mm-hmm. And I know that I and my wife, we're working very hard for them to be able to have that freedom, not to do nothing, the freedom to be able to have the flexibility and the opportunity to decide to do whatever it is that they want to do.
Yeah. So a couple fun facts as we're winding down.
Yes.
What do you like to read? Outside of the Bible?
Yeah. So can I give a shameless plug real quick?
You sure can.
Control the Controllables, written by Raymond Harris, my best friend in the world, is the book that I'm reading right now. It is phenomenal. It is an honest assessment of how in life you have to be able to just control the things that you can control. Yes. And in doing that, the mindset, the elite mindset that you'll have, like that's what it's all about. So that's shameless plug. I like that out there. I'll put that out there. Number two, I wrote a sports law treatise about 4 years ago. And while I don't read it regularly, I have to update it regularly. So I'm in this update and editing phase for the newest edition to come out. So I'm spending plenty of time reading my own words. And sometimes I look like, wait, why did I say it that way? And so it's always an evolution. And then beyond that, I love reading like, what do you call it? Like social media articles, like articles of, whatever magazines, newspapers, etc. Like I said, I have this kind of list that I go through from New York Times to The Athletic to, on down the line to just, I like keeping up with the industry that I'm in every day.
Okay. Favorite food?
Favorite food? Listen, some good soul food, like sign me up. Perfect meal, perfect plate, Thanksgiving. I mean, that's it, right? You got everything that you need, from your sweet potatoes to your stuffing or dressing, whichever you decide to call it, your
Right.
greens, right? Like the whole nine, like that's me. And I'm a sweets guy. I mean, that is my thorn in my side. As I try to live the physical life that I want to live, sweets get me every time. Oreos.
Fried Oreos?
Fried Oreos. Now you're taking it a step too far now. Let's hold on. But regular Oreos is enough.
Yeah. So can you talk to us about your fraternity and really what it has meant to you to be a part of that?
So you want me to talk about the oldest, the boldest, the first? Absolutely, I can. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated has been just a great part of my life. The brotherhood, which certainly when you think about, your childhood and growing up and thinking about even just, my experiences to be able to have brothers all around the world, to have brothers right here in Columbus. But just a good example, I was in Chicago yesterday and was meeting with general counsel for a new client who's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. And we had great conversation and discussion around that. But to me, Alpha is, it's the fraternity of Charles Hamilton Houston. It's the fraternity of Thurgood Marshall, of so many, Andrew Young, so many that I could just go on and on. People that fought to make our country better, our communities better, to be a part of that, to be a part of the gold standard of making an impact in our communities. When you think about the mission of Alpha, to develop leaders, to promote brotherhood and academic excellence while still providing service and advocacy for our communities, to me, it is the encapsulation of all that we as a Black man living in America should be doing and am responsible to do regardless, but to align with a brotherhood that has that as its mission statement. We have a good time. We have a real good time. We have a good time bonded by this work that we can do for our communities to make this world a better place.
That's good. How has that translated even on your personal journey, outside both personally and even professionally? With the young men that you encounter, even as far as the different cities that you're in, how has that brotherhood just kind of guided that piece for you?
Well, it's great because, from that perspective, you have a brotherhood that we always want to help each other out. If I can nominate you for an award, if I can connect you to someone who's hiring in the industry that you're in, those kind of things happen frequently, the networking aspect of it. But it's also knowing that we have a connection. And it's knowing that when you end up, hey, I'm presenting at this campus, and I can, connect with college brothers that are on that campus and share with them some perspective and talk about my career, buy them some food and things like that, right? These are opportunities to feel connected in a world that sometimes can feel disconnected.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
So look, you are engaging young people all across the United States. And I know mentorship is something that is dear to your heart. Talk to us a little bit about what that means, the impact, and just what it means to you.
I'm so glad that you asked that question. Because I love mentorship. I love the discussion and understanding mentorship. Because I think oftentimes, so I'm in this place now in my life where certainly I think many people who are watching this probably are, where you're both a mentor to some, but you're also continuing to be mentored. So you're kind of in this kind of sandwich space, right, of mentorship. And one of the things that I have to start by saying is I've received mentorship. I've sought out mentorship my entire professional career. And it has helped me be in this chair that you would even care to hear what I have to say. And I always love to share with young people, because I get people that will send emails all the time. I've never met, hey, can you be my mentor? I don't know you. We don't have anything. We haven't talked about anything. So what I always say when those things happen, or maybe I spoke at something and they heard and say, hey, can you be my mentor? I always say, well, let's just have a conversation. Let's get to know each other a little bit. Maybe then the answer is yes, or maybe it's more so just, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. And I'm happy to share some perspective, because to me, mentorship is a real relationship.
Yes, yeah.
And relationship means you have to invest and commit time for it to be successful. Some of the mentors that I have in life, I have sought out, and I have been intentional about asking them and sharing with them what I need and what mentorship means to me, so that I can be sure to get from it what I'm looking for. Here's an example. Back in 2015, through the African American Leadership Academy, I was a fellow, and I was selected to introduce at our graduation the CEO of Grange Insurance, John Amendola, publicly traded company right here in Columbus, Ohio, multi-billion-dollar company, and I was going to be introducing their CEO. And I was told, hey, we'll have a bio for you. You can read his bio to introduce him. I said, I don't want to read his bio. Everyone can read a bio in the program.
Right.
And so they coordinated it for me to be able to meet him, which I wanted to do before graduation. We met for about an hour. We talked in his office. I got to learn more about his love for jazz, his views on leadership, all these things, so that I could do an introduction and put together an introduction that was personal to him, that's meaningful to the moment. And so after that, after we had some follow-on conversation, then I said, I would love to learn more from you. I want to ask you to be my mentor. And as I do, here's what that would mean to me, because I know that you're busy. I would like to meet once a quarter for 1 hour. Is that something that we could do? And he said he would love to. And since 2015, just about every quarter, since 2015, the last 10 years, we've gotten together. And he's been through career changes. He's been through all the different things that I've gone through. And so, but I told him, I promise you, as your mentee, I will make sure that every single one of those meetings, I'm going to come with what it is that I'm looking for. If you have lunch with a mentor and it's just about catching up, oh, how's everything? How's family? How's this job? Good. Oh, you got some challenges? Okay. Well, that's not mentorship. The mentorship is to say, here's something that I'm challenged by, or here's something I'm trying to navigate. And there were times when I was making a career move in particular, where I reached out and we had some impromptu conversations, because we built the relationship that then I could reach out to do that. So mentorship matters. But if you're the mentee, you have to be prepared to plan for what that mentorship experience is going to be. And if you're the mentor, you need to demand that of the mentee so that you can actually help them and meet them where they are and help them with what they need.
That's so good. That is so good. So earlier we talked a little bit about your wife. We talked about how you got to Columbus and you met this amazing woman that her beauty just wooed you.
Talk that talk, AC. Come on.
And so she got you to Columbus. Talk to us about just who she is, who she's been to you, the support system, just about even your relationship, if you don't mind.
Yeah, happy to share. And we talk about this all the time. We've been married for 18 years now, and one of the things that we talked about early on in our relationship was just making sure that we're friends. Yeah. She is my friend. And I think that matters. For us, we communicate very much the same way, which is helpful. I tell people we've never had an argument. In our 18 years of marriage, it was kind of a weird thing. Now, don't get me wrong, we've disagreed. I think I've been right. No, I'm just kidding. We've disagreed, but nevertheless, like we've always respected each other, such that it was never an argument between us. And I think that says a lot about who she is, about who I am. So she's a professional in her own right, Dartmouth undergrad, got her MBA at the University of Michigan. And so we talk about everything. We talk about our dreams, our hopes, our aspirations. We talk about, obviously, our kids and family. but we talk business too. And, as I talk to her, I say all the time, she's one of my best advisors. I shared earlier about COVID and the time of being on all these webinars and Zooms and being able to now kind of spread my message of education and protection. She probably could have done some of those presentations as many times as she heard, right? We would share an office and she would in our house and she would, hear that. So she understands what I do. She cares about what I do. And so oftentimes if I'm struggling with something or thinking about something or how to maybe do something different, like she's right there as a trusted advisor, qualified to be able to give advice that's impactful. One such example it was in 2020 when PLI, which is a Practicing Lawyer Institute, they're a legal publisher. They reached out to me about authoring this sports law treatise. And that seemed like a really big task to me. And I was telling her about it and I was like, I never thought that I would write anybody's anything. And so to this idea of writing a treatise, which for those who don't know, I mean, it's like it's a legal writing that encapsulates an entire kind of area of law. I was like, I don't know, babe. I don't know if I'm going to do this. And she said to me, and I'll never forget it. She looked me dead in my face and said, so you'd rather read someone else's perspective on your industry? And it hit me like, nah, I want them to read what I have to say. Because my perspective on it was not just sports law. How do we protect athletes? And she has always been able to say that thing that cuts through the noise, that cuts through the hesitation to get to the root of the matter. And I love her for it.
Thank you again for taking the time to sit down with the Pinnacle Columbus. It's been very insightful, and we appreciate you sharing your journey and protecting the possibilities of so many people in this world. So thank you.
AC, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.